So you're looking to buy an investment property, but you're concerned about what the current landlord is doing on that property, and you're not sure if it makes sense or not. Well, today's video, we're gonna be going over what to look for when buying a new small multifamily and how to analyze if the current landlord is doing the right thing or not, and how you're gonna make it better for you when you take this property over. My name's Shawn McEnteer. I'm the house hacking realtor of Northern New Jersey and the team leader of the Living North Jersey Real Estate team. I get phone calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you looking to invest in Northern New Jersey. I'm always excited to hop on a call to learn a little bit more about your needs and goals so we can map out a plan and make sure house hacking, investing, buying, selling is super smooth for you. Today's video is so crucial because you're looking at deals, you're looking at properties, and you're thinking to yourself, what the heck is this landlord doing? Or, maybe he or she is doing a great job, and you need to know when you look at these deals, is this the right way or the wrong way, and how we're gonna make it better. And honestly, a lot of what you're looking at is really just fluff in the grand scheme of things, because at the end of the day, this is a long-term investment, not an overnight success. So you're gonna wanna be looking at these things from a long-term perspective, but nonetheless, you need to know, does it make sense what they're doing? How can you make it better? What can you fix? And what you should walk away from, because it makes zero sense at all to acquire a property if you can't get the return on investment on it. So we're gonna be going over all of that today. As always, stick around to the end. I'm not joking. You don't want to miss a little something that makes a huge difference. So listen to it all. We're going to be going over a lot of different things today. Okay, first things first, when you're looking at investment properties, if you're taking on properties that have tenants in place already, I'm going to warn you on this one. Most of the time, like 99% of the time, this is so common and it's extremely rare for tenants to have high up-to-date rents. For the most part, especially if people have owned the property longer, a lot of times rents are not at fair market value, especially if there's long-term tenants in place. Even professional landlords, you don't see higher rents on long-term tenants. People aren't going to raise rents as much. It's very common. So when you're looking at deals, the first things first is don't get discouraged if the rents are very low on the existing property. A matter of fact, it really doesn't even matter in a lot of these cases, because for the most part, when you're looking at deals, you're probably going to want to get in there, do some form of renovation. You're probably going to want to ask the tenants to leave. You might, who knows? But if there's low paying tenants that aren't paying the top dollar in rent, not the end of the world. And it's very, very common. We see it a lot in Northern New Jersey, especially in the small multifamily market. So look at the deals, look at the rents, and just understand that there's a really good shot that you're gonna have to probably ask the existing tenants to leave because of rent control laws or whatever it is. And then you're gonna wanna raise the rents after you renovate, get in there, do some tweaks, and get it up to fair market value. Too frequently, we get caught up in what the previous landlord has done on these properties. And it kind of makes maybe some hesitation, but really in the grand scheme of things, you're looking at what the property is and what it can be in the future. Something that is gonna be very huge on this is structure and how it's laid out, the property itself. Something that I like to see is when bedrooms are stacked on top of bedrooms, kitchen on top of kitchen. If it's an over/under unit, or maybe it's a side by side, maybe the kitchens are side to one another, the bedrooms are side to one another. The last thing you want to do is have a let's say a kitchen next to a bedroom, and then it's like people are cooking on one side and the other tenants are can't sleep at night, things like that. So you want to see the structure of the property is super crucial when analyzing deals and going through them, because that's something that's going to cost a lot of money to change, and you don't want to be getting into those predicaments where people are getting woken up because pots and pans or whatever it's happening. So something I see a lot of new landlords looking at is the rental history on a property. Believe it or not, it's not as important as you may think, because unless you're buying a turnkey property that is ready to go, you're more than likely going to be updating this place. So you're going to be making it better. So the previous history based on what the previous landlording was doing is not exactly going to tell a true story. If you have a landlord that is not a very good landlord, if you have a landlord that does not market the property, if you have a landlord that does not have the proper lease in place that says things like you must give us 60 or 90 days to market the unit before moving out for the tenants, they might not have the best rental history. So when you're looking at what the previous rents looked like or what the vacancies looked like for the existing tenant or the existing owner, it doesn't always tell the best story. So knowing what the previous rents are and everything like that, not that big of a deal. Is we're gonna be focusing on what you are going to do to make sure this property is successful. Is it close to public transportation? Is it close to a downtown? Do we see comparables of other properties, successful properties that are kicking butt in the market that we can make it very similar to? Those are the type of deals that you're gonna look at so you can get a clear expectation of what the property you're buying is going to be. I'm renovating a bathroom, okay? I'm always doing value add on our property. You should be too. Main theme here for when looking at deals is what you're going to do to make this property work. And you can do that off of other successful properties in the area, not necessarily the property that you're looking at. So no, you can't really look too crazy into past landlordings on the existing property because you just never know if they're good. You never know how successful of a job they are. So moving forward here, another thing you're gonna wanna really look at is when you're going through multis is analyzing how the utilities are broken down. That plays such a huge part in this. If you have an existing property that has utilities that are not divided, someone has to pay that fee. And it's not always attractive knowing that you have to raise rents to cover a utility fee because you're not gonna be as competitive in the market. People like knowing that they pay their own utilities and they get to control their own utilities. So it's very crucial when looking at deals, analyzing all this, that who pays utilities, what's the breakdown, is it simple for the tenants? Tenants love that. They want to be able to pay and control their own utilities so they're not overpaying and they're not going to also pass over your property because most people are going to see what the list price is, not necessarily that the list price says utilities included. So it makes a difference when looking at properties, knowing the utility breakdown is super crucial. All right, you're looking at a deal and you're wondering what type of tenant is being attracted to this property. Once again, you can't bank on the existing landlord to be making the right decision. I'll tell you this much, 99% of landlords right now, especially who've been doing this for a long time, probably don't know what a midterm or short-term rental is and probably never even considered doing it. So if you're looking at a property and you see that they have a 1-bedroom, 1-bath that's renting for $1,200 a month and you're like, this deal doesn't make any sense, I'm never gonna make any money. First things first, you're probably gonna get a lot more than that in northern New Jersey because of, once again, the rents more than likely are low. But now if you toss in fair market value, let's say you're up to $1,500 or $1,600. I'm making up numbers here. Now let's say we implement a new strategy in the property. You might be getting $2,000, $2,500 on a property because you're looking at a different strategy. So knowing exactly what you're going to implement with the space, make sure it makes sense, is going to change things substantially. You want to be able to be open-minded to different strategies when investing in real estate. Drop a comment below if you want to learn about different real estate investing strategies. Comment below. I'm happy to share some with you. When looking at deals, I'm always want to know what the leases are like. And once again, it's like the biggest thing is you just want to make sure there's not a long-term lease in place with with a really bad lease. The reason for that is because you always do have to be binded to that lease. So if someone has a year out before they can move out, they do get the right to stay regardless if you're owner occupying or whatever the strategy is. You have to let the tenant stay there unless you can agree for them to move out earlier, but they can always fall back on the lease. So having a lease in place is super crucial for you as the landlord, but when the landlord is selling, if they have a lease in place, you're gonna wanna review that and everything must obey to that lease. So you are kind of handcuffed to following those directions and rules of the lease. So you want to review a lease when looking at a property. Good news is, once again, is most of the time there is not a lease in place. especially if this is a long-term landlord with long-term tenants, because leases go month to month once they don't get renewed anymore. And then if it's a month-to-month lease, well, it's easy enough to ask the existing tenants to leave if need be. But you always want to ask to see if there is a lease in place so you can make that right decision, review it all, and make sure that it's good and ready to go. Super crucial with this process here is subscribing below, because at the end of the day, you want to stay up to date for real estate videos. You want to stay up to date with everything happening in northern New Jersey, and you want me to make more videos. I want to get that confidence. Give a nice subscribe, give a like, share with a friend. Appreciate it. Something crucial that you do want to look at that with the previous landlord and ask questions on is insurance. That is something that you can always ask on, and a lot of times you might be able to roll over the insurance plan because if they have low insurance, you should be able to say, okay, my insurance is going to be at that price. That high insurance, might want to step away, because at the end of the day, there might be something that's wrong here with the property, especially if it's in a flood zone or something like that. So asking about the existing insurance on a property from the landlord, that's a smart move and something I think you should do. Quick tip here, especially if it's college rental, it's not as easy to insure on. You do have to get more specific with your insurance. What I mean by that is most of the national insurance providers, they're not too fond of college rental for students. So you're gonna find a local insurance provider that tends to be a little more favorable, that knows the area, that understands, okay, we can rent to these people because, it's not gonna be a frat house, it's just gonna be a college rental or whatever the story is, but you wanna have local expertise when getting insurance on a college rental. So getting an insurance plan from the previous landlord is crucial in this process, and you definitely wanna ask about it. Some good questions to ask. Who takes care of snow removal if it's snowing in your market? In North Jersey, it snows for sure, so you want to know who takes care of it, who takes care of lawn maintenance. You might be able to get some of these contacts of people that are doing it locally. Maybe the neighbor does it for free, who knows? But there's some crazy things. Believe it or not, I actually have clients that just closed on a property and the neighbor is mowing their lawn. How cool is that? And you want to see just enjoys doing it. Maybe you'll get lucky. There's other people where, hey, we've got the team in place. We just go right down the street. We have clients that get their lawn cut already, so for $10 more, we'll cut your grass. So it's always nice to know who is cutting the lawn, removing the snow, doing the maintenance on the exterior, and ask those questions. This one's wild. I'll tell you this, you cannot forget about this one. Are you ready? Click the video right here, because it's gonna change your investing life. See you in the next one.